Welcome to my video!
Back at it again with the entitled parents.
It's really exciting because a lot of these stories were submitted by you guys. This video's shout out goes to Jamie W, who commented on my wish haul. Your comments literally made my whole year. And it's just beginning. Oh my god, like you brightened my day so much. Thank you so much. Literally swelled my heart with joy. Without further ado, let's get into the cringe. Renta uterus? Entitled mom and entitled daughter demand I give them a baby. Actually, I've seen many stories like this online. You'd think this sounds like insane and fake, but trust me, this is like a thing. People literally expect people to be like, yes, of course, I will rent you my uterus. Okay, let's get into the story. Backstory: I am a full-time art student with a majors in crime studies and psychology. Work as a casual in an electronics store, and I have a boyfriend. Forgive me if my English isn't proper. I speak 7 languages and English is my 3rd language. Girl, you get it. Get those languages. Languages are cool. Yes. Low-key bragging. You're allowed though. You speak 7 languages. My name is Vanessa. I grew up with the entitled daughter and she was a spoiled brat. When she found a man and got engaged in 2015 and eventually married in 2017, she didn't invite me to her engagement or her wedding. I was annoyed, but I let it go. In July 2018, my godson died, age 3 from a car accident. I'm so sorry, Vanessa. Sending hugs through the interwebs. I was heartbroken and so upset that I couldn't eat properly for a couple of weeks. She told me to stop crying because it's not your kid. Oh my god! Taking a break in the story right now? Oh my god. Okay. Continue. I told her to get lost and she eventually walked out of my house. Fast forward to November of 2018, she's back at my door with a huge smile on her face. I wasn't happy. I kicked her out last time, but this time I decided to give her another chance. I knew she wanted something, but I didn't expect this. The conversation goes a little like this. Hi, Vanessa. How are you? Good, thanks. What are you doing here? I came here to ask you a favor. I want you to be my surrogate. What? You see, me and my husband can't have children naturally, and I really want a surrogate because I can't afford to do IVF. So can you please do this favor for me and I'll be forever grateful? No, I cannot be a surrogate for you and your husband. I'm still in university, I have a job, and I have a boyfriend. I don't think he'll like it knowing that I'm carrying another man's baby. I don't want to leave work or uni for a kid that isn't mine. Sorry, but my answer is no. Entitled daughter turns bright red like she's about to explode. Why can't you just help me out just once? You're always thinking about yourself. You can always go back to school and get another job. You can always find another man if your guy leaves you because you're pregnant with my baby. You can't say no to me. I'm your friend. I turn to her and say, well, friends don't demand friends to just give them a baby. Leave now. Surprisingly, this little bitch got up swearing and cussing at me. I demand she leaves right now, and I actually chased her out of my house. Luckily, nothing was damaged. I thought that was the last of it, but boy, was I wrong. Fast forward to 4 months later, the 2nd of March of this year, and here enters our entitled mother. I saw her in a grocery store and she walked over to me, so it's like the grandmother of the non-existent child that they want her to make. Okay. I heard you didn't want to be a surrogate for my daughter. That is correct. Well, why not? I have a degree to finish, a job, and I have a relationship I don't want to lose. You can always go back to school and get a new job and a new man. No, I cannot. I finally got into the degree I wanted, finally found a job after 3 years, and finally found someone who isn't a total fuckwit and is the super sweetest guy I know. You're very selfish. You know that? My daughter has problems conceiving, and you have a perfectly good uterus that is unused. Why can't you just think of someone else other than yourself? You don't deserve children, but my daughter does. She's married, and you're not. Listen, lady, I made it clear to your daughter that I'm not becoming her surrogate because I have commitments to my uni, work, and a boyfriend. Also, why would you want to? They're assholes. My uterus is not unused as I still get my periods. and get some dick in there. I'm just saying. When the time is right, I will settle down and have my own family. You get the money for IVF. Help your own daughter out.
Don't you dare speak to me like that, you little cow. Not everything is about you. You grew up this mentality of me, 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 me. Well, my daughter grew up an angel and found herself a good man while you are probably still single and lying that you have a boyfriend.
I try to go past her, but she blocks my way. Let me pass, please. She said, no.
Not until you say yes to having my daughter's baby.
I turn around and walk the other way. She follows me, screaming,
I want my grandchild.
By then, everyone was turning around and looked at me and at her. I scream, get away from me, you crazy bitch. She goes to hit me, but I duck and she hits her hand on a bottle of milk that was on the aisle, causing it to fall off the shelves. Security sees this and steps in. Seriously? Security waited this long? Like, people are like screaming at each other like crazy, but he's like, nah, they're just screaming at each other. It's fine.
They knocked the milk over. How dare you? Time to intervene.
What seems to be the problem here?
This young woman took away my grandchild from me.
I came here by myself and with no children. She wants me to be the surrogate for her daughter, and I told her no multiple times.
She's a selfish little girl. That's what she is.
The young lady can do whatever she wants with her body, whether she wants to have your daughter's child or not. Now please, leave her alone and don't put your hands on her.
I don't have time dealing with this bullcrap.
Entitled mother grabs my arm and says,
you're not going anywhere.
I elbowed her in the face in self-defense.
Look, officer, she hit me in the face.
It was in self-defense. You didn't let her go. Miss, he turns to me, you may go. Next time, please don't let anyone dictate what you should or shouldn't do with your body. She wasn't. She was saying, no, don't mansplain this shit, dude. Thanks, sir. Thanks for your help. As the entitled mother whinged and complained that I wasn't doing what she told me to do, I gave her a smirk followed by the middle finger. She was escorted out of the shopping center, and I was certainly pleased that I was finally away from that crazy bitch and her deluded daughter. I'm really happy science has gotten to the place where you can be people's surrogates and stuff and whatnot, but I do not appreciate that some people just look at other women like walking free uteruses. No. Stop eyeing my uterus, you weirdo. What's wrong with you? And they're acting as if being pregnant is no big deal. That's a year of your life. And then your body's fucked up afterwards. And then you're probably attached to the baby. And it's this isn't like borrowing an eraser. It's growing a human. What the fuck?
In my day.
So a few months ago, I was going to see Book of Mormon with a friend and his mom. We had waited a while in line, rushed around the theater by attendants, and gotten lost in a corridor. So we were pretty frazzled. So once we got to our seats, we just had to relax for a minute before the play started. Larger woman came down the aisle and sat right next to us. My friend was playing on his phone, and the woman leaned over and looked at him. Is that your phone? Yes. Well, I don't think you should be playing on it during a play. I'm gonna put it down when the play starts.
Excuse me? Back in my day, boys were expected to be gentlemen to their elders.
At this point, we just stared in shock. The lady ranted about boys needing to be more polite, how he should have never come to a play, and even made a comment about how unflattering my dress looked. She stopped as soon as she saw my friend's mom coming. Figures. That is so typical too. Really unpleasant people who are well, I am older than you, so I can be an asshole. The instant they see someone who is older and oh, I can't pull this shit with them, I'm gonna get in trouble, they stop that shit immediately. Shady as fuck.
No more glasses for you, young lady.
This all took place about 12 years ago. Let me set the scene for you. I'm about 18 at the time. I'm sat in the department store cafe, BHS for the Brits among us. They only have tables for 4 set up, so I'm sat there with 3 spare seats. The cafe is pretty busy, so there aren't many free tables. I'm sat there reading a book and eating a ham and cheese panini and drinking a pot of tea. So British. In walks a family of 3. Mom, entitled parent number 1, Dad, entitled parent number 2, and a girl around the age of 10 or 11. Bratty girl. They go and get their food and start looking for a table. There aren't any free tables, so they come and sit at mine. They didn't ask if I minded or if the seats were free. I would have been perfectly happy to share if they asked, but I was slightly annoyed that they just sat down. But I let them be and kept reading. Now, I'm incredibly short-sighted. I can't even see the eye chart without my glasses on. I choose to make a statement with my glasses, as they have been a part of who I am for as long as I can remember. My glasses that day were a chunky plastic lime and dark green pair. I loved them as they looked amazing with my red hair and green eyes. Bratty girl starts talking to me about my book. I love reading, so I happily engaged in the conversation with her. So far, so good. Then she asks me about my glasses. She asked me where I got them from. I said I got them from the opticians a few months ago. I thought it was a little odd to ask that as she didn't have glasses, but I tried to be polite. Bratty girl then asks if she can try on my glasses. I'm used to people I know asking to do that at university as my glasses are fairly unusual. Like an idiot, I agree and hand them over. Bratty girl grabs them off me rather roughly, and I ask her to be careful. Her parents have been ignoring her the entire time, and she yells at them to look at her trying them on. I can't see a damn thing at the moment, so I just wait for them to look and comment. However, Bratty girl complains that they hurt her eyes. I explain that they are prescriptions so she wouldn't be able to see out of them and ask for them back. Bratty girl ignores me and moves around the table to where her parents were sat. Entitled Parent 1 asks if Bratty girl wants to look at herself in the mirror in my glasses. Bratty girl starts to complain that she can't see anything. A note here, I can't see what's happening. I found out later that Entitled Parent 1 had pulled a mirror out of her handbag to show her. I again said that I would like my glasses back as I need them to see and they aren't a toy. Entitled Parent 2 tells me I'm being selfish and she needs to see herself before she gives them back. I'm taken aback by him calling me selfish and say that I'm going to need them back right now. At this point, I hear giggling and 2 pops. Bratty girl then starts laughing at how silly she looks. She then said that at least they look better on her than they did on me. I'm really confused about how she's seeing herself now. I hadn't realized what the pops were. I stand up and put my hand out and demand my glasses back. Bratty girl laughs and says she was going to keep them. I told her to stop playing and give me back my glasses. Entitled Parent 1 then said, "You gave them to her? She's keeping them." Insert Pikachu face. I loudly said that I needed them to see and that she needed to give them back. Entitled Parent 1 then said, "You only need this bit," and handed me the lenses from the glasses. Yep, those pops were them removing the lenses from my glasses. I saw red and screamed at them for breaking my glasses. Entitled Parent 2 laughed and said the glasses were fine, and I had the lenses back, so why was I complaining? His daughter wanted the frame as she liked them, so she was going to keep them, and I could buy more. I started to cry. Not my proudest moment. Like, who wouldn't cry at this? Like, oh my god, I would just be bawling and screaming. I get really, I start to cry if I get really angry. So I get you, girl, I get you. I started to cry, not my proudest moment, and said that the frames were over 200 pounds and I needed them back. They were not her property and I needed all of my glasses to see, not just the lenses. Duh. A member of staff came over and asked the parents to return my glasses. They started arguing that, as I had given them to Bratty Girl, she should be allowed to keep them. Entitled Parent 2 then gets them off Bratty Girl and laughs. I hear a snap, and then he hands me my frames, snapped in half, down the nose piece. The member of staff has at this point called for security and they arrived to see me in tears, clutching my broken glasses, and the parents and Bratty Girl looks very pleased with themselves. The member of staff explained what happened, and Entitled Parent 2 states that I needed to be taught a lesson for being selfish. I was taken around the back of the cafe by the staff member and the police were called. A lovely WPC? I don't know what that is. I think it might be some kind of police officer. Drove me to the local opticians to see what could be done. They couldn't repair them, so the WPC drove me back to my student accommodation so I could get my spare pair, and then to the station to make a statement. In the end, I agreed not to press charges if they paid for a new pair of glasses in full, including new lenses, which they did. I wrote the WPC and the BHS staff thank you letters and thankfully never saw that family again. I haven't let anyone try on my glasses since. I understand why. Those people sound pretty trashy. I bet you their whole lives would just be one big r/trashy post. I wanted to go. I have an entitled parent story. Sort of. Just that the entitled parent in question is my father, and it's more of an entitled in-law. My parents are divorced and have been for almost 10 years. Recently, one of my aunts on my mother's side died. I'm so sorry. I hope you feel better. Maybe 1 or 2 weeks after the funeral, I was talking to my father on the phone about something. And then, out of the blue, this happened. Hey, question, why haven't you told me that my mom's sister name died? I didn't know you wanted to know. I was genuinely thinking about whether not telling him was wrong of me. I mean, my parents were divorced, but he had known my aunt for a long time after all.
If I had known, maybe I would have wanted to come to the funeral.
Yeah, because Mom would have been so happy about that. My mother genuinely still hates my father for some shit he pulled after she broke up with him and basically never, ever wants to see him again. My father went on to say that basically that doesn't matter, that he knew my aunt too, and that if my mom complains about him being there to me, because I would have been the one to tell him, I should just tell her to stop bothering me about it. Which is rich, because he never stops bothering me when he wants to rant about my mother, or his siblings, or anyone else when I tell him to stop, because he told me all of that already and I don't want to hear it again. Although I have actually lost my temper and screamed at him about it before. Which is not very mature, but, well, there's only so much patience in the world. And all of that doesn't even touch on the fact that you just don't invite yourself to your former in-laws' funerals. You don't invite yourself to funerals, period. But especially not to those of your ex-wife's family. Like, if my cousins and my aunt's husband haven't sent him an invite, he has no business being there. Oh my god. Imagine trespassing on the most vulnerable moment in your life. Your sister has passed away, and your asshole husband is just like, well, I deserve to be here because I want to go to funerals. Like, I would lose my shit. Wait your turn. Entitled grandma thinks her grandson gets more turns. Basically, I was at a summer camp with some physics-based games. It was a tech museum. There was one where you had to control the speed and momentum of a rocket cart and get the man inside to the finish line safe and sound. During free time, we were given full access to a particular floor. Today, my group got to the floor with that game. I went to wait for my turn. The general rule was one try and then let someone else go. There were a few exceptions when people were almost there and others wanted to see them make it, but that's the rule. There was a kid and what I assume was his grandma at the bench, and when I went to wait, he finished his turn. I asked if I could have a turn and he slid out and I slid in. That's when we get some entitled BS. The grandma looks at me all disgusted and says, "My grandson wasn't finished." I start to reply with how I was at the summer camp and tell her about the rules, but before I can start, the grandson tells her, "It's okay, let's just go." I'm guessing was it not for the saint of an 8-year-old child, I would have gotten quite an earful from this 60-something absolute stranger. I know it's not as bad as most, but I felt like sharing. It's so funny though. Like deep down, it's like based in a, "My grandson, you're wronging my family." But then the kid is just like, "Okay, calm down, grandma, calm down. Okay, back off. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine." Liar, liar, pants on fire. Paid $250 to babysit 5 a.m. to 3 a.m. every weekday. Parent was delusional. Long story, so buckle up. This happened about 2 years ago. I was 20 at the time and was approached by my dad. He asked if I could pay-sit for a work friend as he had recently left school and was in between getting new jobs. The friend was from a low-income area and had a big family. They had 4 kids. Allison and Brent were both below 5 years old. Candace and Devin were older. Brent had gotten in trouble at his daycare and was kicked out for being aggressive. It's a total red flag, but I had babysat for plenty of other kids before and figured that this was an issue Brent had with being in such a busy daycare. The family wanted me to babysit from 5 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday to Friday. Because of the distance, I would carpool with my dad on the way. He passes by the family's home on the way to work. And afterwards, the family's dad or my dad's work bud would drive me home. They could only afford to pay me only $250 a week for the 2 younger kids. It was agreed that during breaks and days off, when the 2 other kids were also there, I would get more. $250 for a 50-hour work week is crazy, but I accepted it under the premise that it was going to be a short-term job while they saved up money and found a new daycare. I figured it wasn't that bad. I was helping out a family friend who needed it, and most of the work would be cleaning up messes and watching some kids. Not that hard. I disagree, but okay. Brent wasn't violent like his daycare had said. The kids were relatively okay. Most of the time, they watched those creepy Johnny videos on YouTube and played. Both kids mainly spoke only Spanish. I didn't know much, but we made by, and after a while, the kids even began to learn some English. From me, I picked up some simple Spanish too, so that's a little plus as well. It was cool to see how much progress they made, and I knew it would make it easy for them to integrate into kindergarten within the next 1 to 2 years respectively. Sometimes they ran wild with energy and their parents would get home just as I was finishing up cleaning, but it was no big deal. Their mom was awesome. She offered me a lot of fashion tips and even asked if I wanted to join her and her younger sisters when they went to have a girls' day. It was cool and I really respected her. Her husband was another story though. He made comments sometimes that made me feel like he expected me to do their laundry and clean his bedroom, which isn't what I was hired for. I ignored him though because I didn't want to fuck over his wife and leave her with no one to watch over the kids while she worked. Eventually spring break came around and the 2 older kids, 5th and 7th grade at the time I believe, started break. During that week, my $250 went to $350. Candace and Devin were the type of kids who watched shitheads like Logan Paul. Especially Candace. She loved him and was constantly playing his videos. It was annoying, but I ignored it and let her do her own thing while I watched the younger 2. One day, Brent spilt his juice all over the floor, so I rushed to clean it up. Wouldn't want to get sticky and leave their mom or dad to deal with it after working their hard manual labor jobs. I went to grab the cleaning supplies, and as I turned back around, I watched Allison take my phone off the table and fling it across the entire room. I shouldn't have left it out, but I wasn't thinking about it and was too focused on cleaning the mess. My phone was left completely shattered. I put Allison in timeout, no games, no YouTube, for a few minutes. Their mom was okay with this and often talked about how pro timeout she was. Sometimes when I came by in the morning, one of the kids were in timeout. This wasn't a new concept. This was the first time Allison got in trouble with me, though, and she was angry about it. She screamed and cried, thus bringing Candace down from her bedroom to see what was going on. When I told her that her sister was in timeout for what she did, Candace got angry as well. She brought Devin in, he was out back playing basketball and didn't see what happened, and convinced him that I was being abusive. She said that she was going to tell her parents that I was a horrible babysitter and that I was a bully. This flustered me and exploded the situation. I had Brent playing in the spilt juice, Allison scream crying, all the while Candace and Devin threatened to tell their parents lies about the situation. I was furious at the older 2. I took priority and got to cleaning up the juice and changing Brent. Meanwhile, Candace kept instigating. By the time their dad got home, he could see how pissed I was. On the way home, I explained to their dad what happened. He listened and said he'd call later. I showed him my phone and told him I'd have to borrow my dad's phone temporarily that night till I could get a replacement, which would be hard considering how little I got paid. Later that night, my dad's phone started blowing up. There were messages addressed to me to the tune of, "How could you do this? Is Candace telling the truth? We thought we could trust you," etc. All from the dad. I called and he refused to answer, so I called his wife. She answered and I explained the situation to her again. She believed me and asked me to come in the next day. I agreed after she promised that she would talk to Candace and Devin. I got there the next day and Candace and Devin were silent the entire time. The only thing they did was sit there and hold on to the younger siblings while shooting me dirty looks, as if I were going to hit them or something. This was for hours on end, the entire time. With the way they were acting, you would have thought that I had slapped the kids the day prior, when in reality the situation was far from it. On the way home, I told their dad what happened that day, and we got into an argument. He said that I was a shit babysitter and that they expected more of me. I explained that I cleaned their living room, kitchen, and bathroom every day. I watched the kids every single day and never took a day off. I didn't ask for them to pay for my phone. I was paid way less than the minimum wage and never bitched when they were short or late on the very, very low $250 I got. He got even more angry and said I could go fuck off and they would get someone else. I told them good luck, got out of the car and walked the remaining mile home, exhausted and upset. His wife messaged me apologizing again, but there was no going back. I used to do sub work at my dad's job because they needed people to fill in a lot, but I am no longer able to because my dad's work bud, the one I babysat for and had a falling out with, told the boss that he wouldn't come in if I was there. The first week I was gone, the guy I was babysitting for took off work 3 times. The following month involved him bitching a lot about how hard it is to get a babysitter to my dad and all the co-workers. All of which knew me and my family for 5+ years and knew I've had a history of being a good babysitter. LOL. I would have happily babysat for the family another month at least. Now, they're fucked. But I guess that's what choosing beggars are all about. That's crazy. Literally paying them less than minimum wage for a really hard and taxing job where you have to be on constantly. Like, you should be paid well for watching kids because they're literally like suicide machines trying to kill themselves. And your job is basically being on suicide watch. Just don't try to electrocute yourself. Don't try to jump off of things and break your legs. Just, they don't have any view of consequences. So you literally have to be on guard all the time like a hawk. And on top of that, they cleaned almost every inch of their house every single day. And he wanted them to clean their bedroom? Ew. Weirdo. He's acting as if he wanted like a slave for no money. That's what he wanted. He wanted to pay nothing and have a slave. That's what he wanted. Karma got that guy. It's always like that too. We're like, oh, nice women get asshole husbands and then they have kids with them. Like, why would you have kids with that? Why? Also, children should not be watching Logan Paul. He's just a bad influence. A bad human being, in my opinion. The teddy bear. Backstory. My mom had skin cancer and I have severe anxiety. She made me a Winnie the Pooh stuffed animal for me when I was still in her womb. Aw, cute. I now carry it around with me everywhere to be with my mom 24/7. I know that sounds dumb, but it helps me to calm down either when I'm crying because of my mom's cancer or when my anxiety creeps up on me when I'm thinking about my mom. That doesn't sound dumb. Not at all. Just so you know. Okay, on to the story. I'm at college waiting for my class to begin. I'm clutching my Winnie because I have started crying again. The crying lasts for 10 minutes. Just as I was going to put Winnie away, a small little hand grabs onto it. I look and see a young girl around 8. It should be known that my college offers daycare for kids when their parents are in class. Standing in front of me, next to her mom. I want it. No, sweetie, it's mine. I gently tug the Winnie out of Entitled Child's grip. Entitled Child starts crying, and her mom glares at me. Well, you've made my baby cry, so give it to her. I clutch my Winnie to my chest. No, my mom made it for me. Well, you don't deserve it, you selfish brat. Give it to my baby. I tighten my grip on Winnie as Entitled Mother tries to grab it. Mommy, I want it. I know. Mommy is gonna get it for you. Me, getting angry. No, you aren't. This isn't yours. Well, my child deserves it more than you selfish brat. Plus, you're too old for stuffed animals. Entitled Mom grabs a hold of Winnie and tries to tear it from me. While doing this, she rips Winnie a little. I just snapped and tore Winnie out of Entitled Mom's hand and scream. My mother made this for me and could be dying. This is my way of being with her 24/7. You really want to steal from a person whose mother may be dying? As soon as Entitled Mother heard mother and dying, she turned beet red out of embarrassment, grabbed Entitled Child's hand, and walked away. Update: today my mom was announced as cancer-free. Yay! I was so stoked when I heard that. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy. It's crazy though. Like, I don't care if the lady thinks other people are too old for something. That doesn't mean your kid gets to have it. What's wrong with you? Like, most people have a toy from their childhood that's special to them. Like, I have toys from my childhood that's special to me. Like, especially this one teddy bear that's called Bamse, which means teddy in, like teddy bear in Norwegian. And when I feel really stressed, hugging him helps so much. It's not dumb at all, okay? Don't feel like it's dumb. It's not dumb at all. That's it for this time, you guys. I hope you enjoy the stories I picked and that you'll come back next Friday. I post every Friday, so subscribe and keep the notifications on. On Sundays, I Twitch. On Wednesdays, I Discord. Links in the description.